Simplicity of life is a virtue that not many people seek out anymore. It's almost like a beautiful sunset. When you see it in a photo or you experience it yourself, you notice its beauty right away. But we don't go running to see sunsets either in person or in pictures on a regular basis anyway. When we're on vacation, we notice how beautiful it is when we're not amid the hustle and bustle of our regular life. Running from school to practice and work to the store and needing to cook, clean, and finish laundry all at the same time is far from simple. When we watch old movies and see the simplicity of their lives back in the day, we see the beauty in that and often ask ourselves, why can't life be that simple anymore? For those of you who have visited monasteries or convents or any large houses where religious sisters and brothers live, I'm sure you noticed their own simplicity of life and saw the beauty in it. They wear the same habit or clothing every day, so there's no need for extra clothing. They don't own many things, and everything they do own, they more or less share in common with each other. I guess I'm well aware of the exceptions of religious communities who have strayed from their charisms and commitment to simplicity in their poverty, but I'm speaking about those religious communities who have stayed true to their charism and their vows. We see a beauty in their simplicity of life. My last example is any video advertisement or actual footage of children playing in any third world country. They're clearly wearing donated clothing, since I know the Chicago Bulls don't have that many fans around the world. The children are just skin and bone from lack of nutrition. You see their poor housing in the background, and yet they're running around playing soccer or some other game and have huge smiles on their faces. And we know that they're in the worst form of poverty and far below that bar of simplicity. But I'm sure many of you, as I have, thought to ourselves, could I be that happy with so little? No matter if it's simplicity from a schedule, simplicity in possessions that we own, or simplicity from poverty, we notice the beauty that exists when we see people living in simplicity of life. There's a joy that comes from the simple things. Yet our world increasingly and consistently pushes the idea that true happiness comes from wealth, pleasure, power, and honor. I won't be happy until I'm wealthy, and so I need to keep working these long hours until I attain the wealth I need to be happy, which is never an objective number, by the way. It always seems to go up, right? I won't be happy until I'm powerful in my company or until my family sees me as powerful. I won't be happy until I'm honored and respected by people. I won't be happy unless I'm being pleasured in some way by taking the best vacations, having the greatest experiences, posting the best pictures, and receiving pleasure in other ways as well. Chasing wealth, pleasure, power, and honor is never simple. This is why St. John the Baptist in our gospel tells his disciples to give away half of their clothing and food. He tells the soldiers to be just and merciful and to not confuse himself, being John the Baptist, with the Messiah. St. John points his disciples in the opposite direction from the world, telling them to give up their wealth, what gives them pleasure, the power and honor that they seek. And while he's preaching to them, he's also being a witness to humility when he says I am not worthy to loosen the thongs of his sandals when he speaks of the Messiah. Friends, we too are called by Jesus to practice this great virtue of simplicity of life. Now, this doesn't mean you need to join a religious order or live in poverty. For those of us who have our primary vocations of married life, religious life, priesthood, the single life, we're called to practice simplicity of life within our primary vocation. And for those here that are still discerning and seeking their primary vocation, you're called not to wait until then to practice simplicity of life. You're called to practice that virtue right now. So where do we begin? First, give your stuff away. Not everything, right? Again, within your vocation, you got to give the stuff away. Go through your closets and storage bins and give away anything you haven't used in the last 12 months. This is the easiest and cheapest way to start living this virtue of simplicity. It costs you nothing to give stuff away. Maybe the gas to drive it to Goodwill or Salvation Army, right? But it really costs you nothing. The next one, though, a little harder, is to start tithing regularly. The scriptures say that we should give 10% of our income away. And that's only a big number if you're currently giving away 0.5%, right? So the goal is 10, but if you're only giving away 0.5% or 2%, yeah, then jumping to 10% this upcoming tax year is going to be a little difficult, right? You have to make some lifestyle changes, but to gradually get yourself to that 10%. And might I suggest, when you plan on your giving, to give half of what you're able to give, so let's go with the magic number 10, 5% to the church so we can continue building the kingdom of God, the other half to the charities of your choice, of whatever is close and near and dear to your heart. But giving away any percent of your income is a sacrifice in and of itself, but it's a sacrifice that bears the fruit of many other sacrifices. Like maybe you don't stop at your favorite coffee shop daily on your way to work or from work. Maybe there's one less happy hour you attend each month with coworkers or with family. Speaking of family, another suggestion for simplicity of life is to have dinner with your family one night a week. Cancel the practices, the rehearsals, the meetings, whatever is necessary, and make sure you sit down at a table one night a week together as a family for dinner. Simply be together. My last more practical, I think they're all practical, but not whatever. My last suggestion to you is that when you're going to purchase something, either for yourself or for your home, buy the model below what you can afford. For example, if you can afford and you have saved and you're ready to purchase the top of the line iPhone or computer or even the best refrigerator at ABT, practice simplicity and generosity by purchasing the model below what you can afford. And the difference in your savings, give it away to the poor. That's not part of your 10%, right? Because you already planned on that. So now it becomes surplus wealth, another gospel. Jesus tells us there's no virtue in giving away surplus wealth. That's not part of the 10%. That's this extra now that you have left over. Give it directly to the poor. Go buy some gift cards. Have McDonald's gift cards in your car so if you see someone on the street, you can give them something right away to get something to eat. Go to local food pantry or buy food for the food pantries we support here. Give that directly to the poor. You make a sacrifice, you still get the thing that you wanted or need, and the poor receive the help that they need. In these last 2 weeks of Advent, let's do what we can to grow in simplicity of life together as a parish family. And let's continue those practices in our everyday life beyond Advent and Christmas. Because it's in simplicity of life that we get rid of life's many distractions. And we find true joy when we encounter God, who is love, amid the simple things.